Oakley dokley. Let's put some artwork on. Okay, so once again we go back to, remember that we're clicked into this podcast track. We go to the media viewer. I'm going to drag it down to the bottom because I know that's where mine is. I'm going to put this, which I love, this rabbit. This is the most extraordinary rabbit you've ever seen. I've put him on there. You just drag it up and drop it on, okay? And it goes for, I mean, it's a single picture, right? It's not a movie. So it goes through for kind of pretty much the whole time you've got anything there. I mean, that's all movable, right? I'll show you. You can change the end if you put your arrow over it. It changes to that. See how it changes? Then you click down and you can drag it backwards and forwards, whatever you want, to whatever time you want visually. Or you can just you can click into it and cut it like that too. But I'll show you that in a minute anyway. We will come to that. Now let's have a look and see where we are. Actually, if you want to cut it, you have to cut it at a specific spot where the playhead is. What we're going to do is we're going to say, let's just say that we start off with the episode artwork. We don't need to put that in because it's always going to come up if there's a gap, which is quite a lifesaver. So we're going to play it now and have a look at what it looks like. The info one, there we are, and see what happens. So this is...
Welcome to Dave's podcast. This is a
And
podcast
there's that rabbit.
GarageBand.
Check out the size of that rabbit, would you? That's one serious rabbit. Oh, dearie me, that cracks me up. Apparently it's real. Well, it seemed to be anyway. The side I got it off looked like that. See how the artwork changed though? Now, you can't do any flash transitions, any sort of nice looking transitions on it, because GarageBand doesn't have them. You can do it if you want to through iMovie, and I'm going to show you how to do that when I do my How to Use iMovie series, which is coming up next. Well, after I finish this series anyway. But what you've got is, and this is a cracker, is you've got the artwork there now that people will see on their iPods, if they've got an iPod that they can see anything on. Okay, if not, they'll see it in iTunes. Don't forget, you're kind of making a podcast for three different markets, really. You're making one for people who look at it and download it through iTunes and watch it on their computer, and then you can actually put, I'll show you how to do this, a URL into the, in fact, while I'm talking, I'll click up Safari. You can put a URL into the site, which they can click on because they're on a computer. It will open and take them to that URL, and that's fantastically handy. The second market you're working for is those people who actually listen to it initially on their, or primarily or totally even on their iPod. And there are two types of iPods. There's those with colour fronts or whatever, or black and white, that are capable of showing pictures or movies, or even iPhones now, of course. And the third market is those who have just an iPod that they want to listen to the audio on and nothing else. So you've got to bear those three in mind, and you may have to even make three separate podcasts for those. I make two separate ones, one for video, one for audio, because the people who are downloading the audio don't want all the video stuff on top, which makes it big. If they want to listen to it just on their phone, for instance, whether it be an iPhone or another phone, they don't want a massive file. So I'll show you how to do that too. That's another one we're going to be doing. But in the meantime, what we've done is we've whacked this art in. I just want to show you how now we're going to call it, we're going to have it a chapter. We're going to say this chapter is called, and you'll find this down here. Like here it is already in this section. If you can't see it, then you'll need to, click this up and have a look at it. There it is, a chapter. And that time there shows you, or relates to the time, I think, maybe that's the time that Here it is. It's the time that the picture comes in, that it first starts. So if you move the picture a little bit, that time changes. See that? Okay, so now that means at the beginning of this, I'm going to call this the intro. Introduction. Okay, I'm going to name the chapter Introduction. But now I don't have to put a URL there. I can just leave it at that. And what happens is that when it plays, you'll be able to see on the iPod and on iTunes, if you've got one that does that, you should be able to see the chapter markings on the Now, when you're making these, they're called enhanced podcasts because they've got chapter markers on them. And if you look at an enhanced podcast, which I'll show you when we finish this, how it works, you'll be able to see the chapters drop down. In iTunes, they come down in the menu. They also come, if you double click on the main picture in iTunes, you know how there's a little picture down the bottom there. If you double click on that, it becomes bigger. In the bigger one, when you move your pointer a bit, you'll find the controls, and the controls actually have a chapter section on them as well. And there's various other things. But the interesting, or the useful thing about this is, let's just say the introduction, and what I want to do is refer you to Apple, Apple site. Okay. So I'm going to call the URL what it is. That's going to appear up here. Okay. Whatever I type here will appear up there. And I'm going to steal the URL here, the start page for Apple, copy it, go over here, roll myself along a little bit, click in the URL and paste it in. Okay, press return so it's there. Now watch what happens when we play it. Okay.
This is a podcast all about GarageBand.
See that? Apple site. Now look at this. I'll click on it and blow me down if it doesn't take me to that page. Let's say I'll just prove that this actually does work. Here, let me do it from another page. Apple site, big rabbit, click on it, and there it is immediately. Damn, this computer's fast. I love it. So that's the nature of putting these in. Now let's say I want to put another one here. I move the head to here and I say, okay, at this point I'm now going to introduce something else, and I want to put another podcast chapter in. So I'm at this point in my chapter. So I click on the podcast track. I make an edit where I split it. And see, now I've got a split there, and I could actually, if I click out of it and click back in, I can move that to wherever I want. But what's happened down the bottom here is I've now got, it's duplicated that, and now I can do, I could call that introduction next, whatever I want, and call it something else, Oh dear me. We'll use the same one, what the hey, and let's have a look. Let's just do this again. So there we are when we play it.
Here is an enlarged version
We've got the Apple site,
which allows
and it changes to something else. Hey, pretty good, eh?
understanding this.
We might do some more on this in a minute, but we'll just, for the moment, we'll wrap that up. That's a wrap.